I think the littlest one out of the group got it though. Oh my gosh. Look at the size of that one. Look at the size of that one. That's gotta be a 6-pounder.
Hey guys, Stetson Blaylock here. There's a new bait that I've been introduced to this past season on the Elite Series, and it's the Great Lakes Finesse line of soft plastics. They've become part of Booyah Pradco line of plastics, and you know, it says it right there in the name, Great Lakes Finesse. Well, I live in the South, so I live here in Arkansas. What am I supposed to do with this? So, and I think a lot of people, they see that and they're like, well, that's a tiny little bait. It may not work where I fish, but I want to give you a few scenarios for me that work in the South. So when the water starts getting cold, I'm talking about in the winter, you know, if you live on lakes that freeze, I can't help you there, I don't ice fish. But if you have deep, cold water, a couple techniques that I use is one that I call dropping. So what I do is I'll troll around. You can see I've got the drop minnow, 2.75 drop minnow rigged up on a shad shaped head. What I do with this is I use my 2D sonar for this. I find trees, anytime that the fish are suspended up off the bottom in the winter, there's always fish feeding on crawfish, and that's fine. You can throw your jigs, your crankbaits, your things like that. But if those fish are suspended up off the bottom and they're not relating to crawfish, they're relating to shad, you got to have something that time of year that has a slow presentation. They may be in tops of trees, brush piles, even in like rock crevices, drops where the rocks go from 20 foot down to 40 feet. What I'll do with that, with this bait right here, is I'll take it and I'll actually drop it down there and watch it on 2D. It'll make a solid line across your screen, and then those fish, you'll see them actually come up out of the rocks. Now you can use forward sonar if you want to, but for me, I've been most successful with this particular bait and style of fishing on 2D. Watching those fish, watching the bait, watch how they react. They'll come up to it, and some of them will get right under it and just watch it, and then they'll go back down to the rocks. Some will come up and get with it, and you can raise it up above them and they'll actually follow it up. They like to feed up when it's cold and that time of year. And this bait sits very, very vertical in the water. This plastic that they use at Great Lakes Finesse has a neutral buoyancy, so it's gonna sit perfectly neutral in the water. It's not gonna float up on you and it's not gonna sink. It's gonna set neutrally buoyant, and to me that's a big key in the winter, especially down here in the South in these southern lakes when you're trying to fish deep. I throw this on, this is a 7-1 medium action H2OX rod. It's just a good spinning rod. It's a 7-1, so it's got a little more length. I just like a little length. It helps in being able to control the bait a little bit more. I've got 10 or 15 pound Seaguar Smackdown braid on my reel, and then I have 6-pound Seaguar Tatsu. That is key. You want to go down to 6-pound test on this specific rig to get a lot of bites. I feel like for some reason those fish on 8, they'll come up and look at it a lot more than they will actually just come up and eat the bait. So 6-pound test is key on that. One other way that I rig this is on an underspin. This is a Great Lakes Finesse underspin, and this is another 2.5 drop minnow. This is more of a natural shad color, but again, same scenario. You can throw this on a bait caster. If I throw this on a bait caster, I'm gonna throw it on 10-pound test, or you can throw it on a spinning rod. It's such a small finesse. You can see how small and compact it is. I mean, this bait itself is only 2 3/4 inches long, so it's a very small profile. You can take this and you can actually cast it out over those trees, or if you have forward sonar, you can actually throw it at specific fish. If you don't, you can just throw it over the structure. Let it go all the way to the bottom, hold your rod tip up and reel it really slow. Let that blade do the work for you. It's gonna turn, it's gonna draw those fish up. This is a really good way to catch them if they're suspended out deep, but they're not holding to specific structure. So this gives you two options. If you want to drop down on them, if they're on specific structure, you want to be able to hit and target specific places. You can get right on top of them if they're really deep with this and drop down on them, or you can cast to those same fish with the underspin. But this is two ways to fish Great Lakes finesse in the wintertime in the South. If you're up north, smallmouth love it. Y'all already know that. It's been a great brand for smallmouth fishing for years. But down south, I'm just trying to figure out how to make it work in my arsenal, and these two right here have been deadly when the water's cold.